a German knight in his shining armor went to Shanghai in China, picked up a bar girl, married her and brought her back to Germany. But unfortunately the entire thing turned extremely sour and ended in a very sad and brutal tragedy for both of them. Before I do share the story, I'm here in Makassar in South Sulawesi, Indonesia, taking a morning walk, showing you a little bit around. So, the story I'm gonna share with you today was told to me by a good colleague of mine. I shall call him Johnny. And Johnny had a best friend at the time when they worked in Germany. They met each other and his name was Ronnie. So this is the story of Johnny and Ronnie. And Johnny and Ronnie were, as I mentioned, very good friends. They were chefs, two hardworking young chefs in Germany. They worked together, they had a good time together. And Ronnie, his best friend, was very interested into going to China. He was interested in Chinese culture, in Kung Fu, martial arts and all that stuff. Johnny and Ronnie were like brothers, basically, very good friends. Ronnie went to Shanghai in China and Johnny went to London in Great Britain. So they lost sight a little bit for a few years. And as the story goes, Ronnie had a very good job in Shanghai. He worked for one of the major hotel corporations there and earned very good money. As an expat chef, you earn very, very good money. You have very, very good benefits. I can confirm this. I'm a chef myself. I've been working in 16 different countries in my over 30-year career. And Ronnie had a good life too. And he spent his nights at the bars, This is what expats do, right? It's what you think, or what many people think. Yeah, and he met this girl, this bar girl. She worked in one of these bars. The Shanghai Bar was the name at the time. And she was a single mom. And they got together. And I thought, or not I thought, but perhaps Ronnie thought he is the knight in shining armor, the rescuer, the hero who need to pick up this poor little Chinese Shanghainese girl and then take care of her for the rest of his life. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all want to help other people, right? So it goes. They became a couple, and but not long after, Ronnie and Johnny got contact again. They got in touch with each other again, and Ronnie asked Johnny, "Hey Johnny, what should I do? What do you think? You as my best friend, tell me. I want to marry this girl, and her name was Vicky, and I want to go back to Germany. She wants to go to Germany." And Johnny said, "No, don't do that, Ronnie. You stay in Shanghai where you are. You have a good job there. You have a great life. Just stay there. Don't go back to Germany." But Vicky, his now wife already, they married in China. Meanwhile, she kind of insisted to move to Germany because she thought that, maybe Ronnie has something to hide. Maybe is there another woman in Germany? Is this the reason why you don't want to move back to Germany? So long story short, they moved to Germany. And just as a little side note here, that was already a bad decision, because I wouldn't even move back to Germany today. What's in there for me to move back to Germany? There's nothing in there for me. Anyway, so they arrived in Germany. Ronnie had no job. Vicky also, of course not. His wife, his Chinese bar girl wife. And yeah, so they had no apartment, no job. First they stayed at his parents' house in Germany. Yeah, so they started basically from ground zero. But you know, it didn't work out well. Soon they started to fight with the parents, and you know, his wife is from China. Perhaps there were some cultural differences, you know, and also his brother was like a little bit throwing an eye on his wife, his brother's wife, so there was a little bit of jealousy involved and all that stuff. So they moved out. They had to leave the parents' house, found an apartment somewhere. Meanwhile, Ronnie found a job as a letterman, as a post office guy. Can you imagine this? He is a full-trained chef, very talented, already made it to China, had a good paying job, and now he's ending up like a letterman in Germany just to scrap by and earn some money. How much money do you make as a German letterman? I don't know, not much, right? So Ronnie was working, earning money for the family, for his wife. And what was Vicky doing? His wife, his bar girl wife, she was just staying home, you know, spending all his money. And she had no job. I think at one time she was helped to take up a job. She was offered a job in the housekeeping department of one hotel in Germany, but she only survived like 3 days, you know, and then she decided to quit again. Yeah, because staying at home, doing nothing, smoking cigarettes, smoking expensive cigarettes, by the way, and drinking whiskey, you know, as a bar girl, you do that. Old habits die hard, right? You entertain yourself. Yeah, you get a little bit bored, but you know, you enjoy your life. And by the way, she was smoking very expensive cigarettes. Meanwhile, Ronnie had to roll his own cigarettes, right? So the financial situation was a little bit dire, or became dire. He took up loans. He used up his credit cards. He was very much in debt. Yeah? And not soon after already they started fighting with each other, you know, about several different things. You know, yeah, he was very much indebted already because they did not live below their means, right? The wife was spending basically, I was told it was like triple the income of what Ronnie earned, the wife spent. So at this point we don't want to judge, we just want to listen to the story, right? Of course, you know, I mean, you as a husband, it's all in your control, you know. How can you let it happen that you have your wife spending triple your income? Anyway, now Ronnie was in a big mess, of course, as you can imagine, right? Financially, a financial mess, and probably his marriage also wasn't working very well anymore. So he asked his good old friend Johnny what to do. Again, Johnny, tell me what to do, I don't know what to do. And he said, you know what, I'm your good friend. I tell you one thing, Ronnie, leave this woman behind. Yeah? Book her a ticket, send her back to China, and that's it. Forget about her. And you find yourself a new job and you start a new life. That was Johnny's advice to Ronnie as his best friend. I think a very straightforward advice, but easier said than done, because Ronnie was not able to follow up on Johnny's advice. He could not do this. He could not separate from his wife Vicky. He could not send her back to China, to Shanghai. He was emotionally too attached and dependent. And why is that? That's a very good question, right? It was like he was under her spell. So he incurred more and more debt. I think at one time it was about 50 to 60,000 euros. This is already a few years back, so you know, with inflation these days you can mark up the amount, but this is still a lot of money today. 60,000 euro in debt, loans, credit card debt. His accounts were blocked and cancelled. He couldn't use his credit cards anymore. And so he decided to contact some loan sharks, you know, in Switzerland. So once you start to dealing with loan sharks, you know, yeah, that's the end, the beginning of the end. On top of that, Vicky, his wife, Ronnie's wife, the bar girl wife, had already a child from a different man, a daughter, which then also was living in Germany. And on top of that, both had twins. So Vicky gave birth to twins. Yeah. So of course that was weakening the financial situation again. But somehow I've managed to get actually a good paying job at a German corporation at some point, and it looked promising. Let's put it like this: it looked promising. But his wife Vicky was by nature also very jealous and very controlling and very possessive. So Ronnie was not even allowed to work overtime. So don't get me wrong here, it was not his boss who did not allow Ronnie not to work overtime, but Vicky, his wife, decided, no, Ronnie, my dear husband, I am not allowing you to work overtime. You have to come home. You have to come back after 8 hours. I want you to be home here with me. Yeah. But of course, sometimes he had to work overtime, and then the big fighting started. And that's a weird thing here, right? To see this machine in the water. So they were fighting about it, you know. When he was late from work, his wife made a big fuss out of it. He was not allowed to go to the barber shop. I don't know why. Probably she was jealous that he would meet other ladies or girls there. I can tell you the women in German barber shops are not very attractive. This is just my experience and my opinion, but I have a different taste anyway. So I don't want to offend German barber shop women here. It's not my intention. I'm just saying there's nothing much to harvest. Anyway, that was the situation between Ronnie and his wife Vicky. Yeah? Terrible, actually, right? I mean, and yeah, the financial situation was deteriorating, and that was the last Johnny, his best friend, was hearing about this situation. And a few years later, they lost sight with each other, you know. Johnny didn't know what Ronnie was doing. So anyway, long story short, a few years later, when Johnny arrived in Shanghai, started to work in China, he asked around He wanted to know what happened to his former best friend, and he found out, he was told that Ronnie and his bar girl wife Vicky committed suicide over all these struggles and troubles, most likely. So this is the sad ending, but of course there are a few questions here, right, unanswered. Johnny told me that Ronnie was a very, very handsome guy, you know, and he could have had many girls, but why did he pick this bar girl? I mean, there was no shortage of girls in China anyway, neither during this time nor in that time today. So out of all the girls, why did he pick a bar girl? Question mark. And another question is, why was he so dependent on her? This is a phenomena we all know. We are living in Southeast Asia and dealing with these women. You know, we hear all these stories, and I made a video about this a few months ago. It's called Losing Their Minds, when Western men are dating Asian women. And in this video I'm going a little bit into the nuts and bolts of this. This is a traditional house, by the way. I forgot the name. Yeah. And another question I have: what did this woman, Vicky, actually give him, Ronnie, that he was so dependent? Or what did this woman give him that he could not end this relationship? What was it? I mean, he was dependent. But if you are dependent on something, be it a substance or a human being, I don't know, then if you are dependent, then you need this person or substance. So it gives you something, right? The substance or the person must give you something which you need so badly that you are dependent. But what was the thing Vicky, his bar girl wife, gave Ronnie? And actually, when we are honest and fair, looking from the outside here, then okay, we were not involved, but it's only the outside perspective. But then we could conclude that this woman actually didn't give him anything. She could not offer him anything, really, right? Except to open her legs in the bedroom in the night. But when you are so mentally and psychologically disturbed, like Ronnie certainly was, with all his trouble in financial matters and things, I mean, do you enjoy your sex in the evening? I don't think so. So he was dependent, but what did this woman actually offer to him that he was so dependent? So what's the moral of the story? Yeah, I don't have any answer to that. You can make up your own minds and think about it. It is a phenomena. I talked about this in other videos, as I mentioned just now, when we lose our minds. And I'm not saying that all men lose their minds. There are many men who are happily married also, let's say in the Philippines or in Thailand or also in Indonesia. But you hear a lot of these stories, you know, coming out of Thailand, from the Philippines, these two countries mostly, where men really suffered, and the whole thing turned so sour. And I don't need to tell you, most of you guys know about these stories. And why is that? I mean, and of course I'm just narrating a story here. I mean, I'm telling a story here which I was being told by a very, very good colleague of mine. And you know, it's always easy to judge and evaluate from the outside, and I don't want to do it here. I just want to ask a few questions, because I'm doing videos myself, as you know. I'm talking about dating Asian girls. Lately I'm talking about dating in Indonesia, but from time to time I get comments. I get these comments, these funny comments from some guys, you know, who, in my opinion, just sitting in their rocking chair, maybe smoking something, maybe smoking a pipe or something else, and then watching this video. Maybe they see it as a entertainment, I don't know, and then giving very smart advice. They know it all, and why did you do it, and how stupid have you been? Could you not think properly? Why didn't you switch your brain on? You know, as I mentioned, and sometimes I put this into my comments as well, because I feel I need to educate these know-it-alls, you know. Watching a video, watching it from the outside, listening to a story is one thing. Giving smart advice, sitting in your rocking chair like an old grandfather, like Socrates or Plato, is easy to do, you know. But when or once you are emotionally involved in a relationship with Asian women, things are completely different. And why are they different? I've done many videos about it, about the psychological dynamics and what is happening, and other YouTubers as well. They do, as I speak, recording videos about it. And still, these things are happening. Of course, because you have newbies coming and arriving to these countries. But why is it that so many men are falling into this trap? Anyway, I will not answer this question here today, because it's not the point of this video. The point of this video was just to tell the story to you, a very sad story, and then you can you have your own questions, you know. And but I think we can boil it down to this thing. Ronnie was that kind of a guy who, morning, who was, his self-image was that of a knight in shining armor. He felt he needed to help. He needed to be, the savior, the hero. He wanted to save this little China girl from the bar, give her a better life, and this Chinese bar girl, Vicky, she was very smart. She could, market accordingly herself to him and tell him a nice story. It was a ticket out of this mess, you know, but it didn't work out. This is when you are, you lose your common sense. This is what was happening. You lose your common sense, and then you don't have control anymore over yourself and your emotions and everything. I'm not saying that this wife Vicky was a witch or a very bad woman, or no. I mean, she was looking after herself, right? She was selfish also. I mean, everybody is looking after himself, right? We need to survive. We want to have a better life. So anyway, I don't want to philosophize too much about this now. Let me know what you think about this. Looking forward to your comments. See you in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.